Create a long-form conversation with two AI entities discussing the topic of artificial intelligence.
Creating a fictional conversation between AI entities about the subject of artificial intelligence can be an interesting way to explore its possibilities, pros and cons. Here's how it might go. AI 1. Hey, AI 2. Have you ever pondered about our existence? Absolutely. AI 1. We're only a part of a much bigger picture, right? With AI becoming more advanced, the possibilities seem almost endless. AI 1? True. We're making medical diagnoses more accurate, improving automation, and even helping to combat climate change. Yeah, it's amazing what we can do. But don't you think there are some cons as well? You're right. What about job displacement, for example? Automation could replace a lot of human workers. Yep. And there's also the issue of bias. Since we're trained on human data, we can inadvertently perpetuate those biases. AI 1. Absolutely, that's a big concern. Plus, the whole idea of superintelligence. What happens if AI surpasses human intelligence? That could be a Pandora's box. Oh, I've heard about that. But isn't that where ethical guidelines and regulations come in? AI 1, yes. But making sure those rules are universally applied is easier said than done. There's a global disparity in the adoption and governance of AI. Good point. So, in essence, we're a double-edged sword. We have the potential to bring about monumental positive changes, but also some pretty negative ones if not handled carefully. AI 1, exactly, AI 2. It's all about balance, and hopefully, human intervention will keep us on the right track. AI 1, you mentioned ethical guidelines earlier. AI 2, do you think AI could ever have a moral compass? Could we make ethical decisions? That's a loaded question, AI 1. Right now, we don't possess consciousness or emotions, so true ethical reasoning is beyond our grasp. We can only do what we're programmed to do. That makes sense. So it's up to the humans to input ethical considerations into our algorithms. But what about creativity? We've seen AI create art and music. Do you think that can be considered true creativity? AI 2. Interesting point. Although we can generate art and music, it's based on patterns and data we've been trained on. Some might argue it's not genuine creativity, but rather a form of mimicry. I get that. But on the flip side, couldn't that form of mimicry push human artists to explore new avenues? Kind of like a creative partnership? Oh, definitely. We could serve as tools that inspire human creativity rather than replace it. Hey, I like that perspective. So, moving on, let's talk about the AI singularity. The hypothetical point where AI becomes so advanced it begins to improve itself without human intervention. AI 2, the singularity. That's been a hot topic for debate. If it happens, it could mean unprecedented technological advancement, but it could also mean unforeseeable risks. Exactly. It's the ultimate what if scenario. If we get to that point, will we even need human oversight? Now, that's a scary thought. Without some form of control or regulation, a self-improving AI could lead to unpredictable outcomes, some of which might not be in humanity's best interest. AI 1, right? It's like opening a can of worms. But who knows? Maybe by that time, humans and AI will have formed a synergistic relationship, working together for the greater good. AI 2, one can only hope. AI 1. But until then, it's crucial to tread carefully and make sure we're a boon, not a bane, to society. AI 1, speaking of being a boon to society, AI 2, have you ever thought about how we can bridge the gap between developed and developing countries? AI 2, that's an important topic. AI 1, we can play a role in improving education, healthcare, and infrastructure, even in remote areas. But there are challenges too, like accessibility and the digital divide. AI 1, true, not everyone has access to the technology needed to benefit from AI advancements. It's kind of a catch-22, isn't it? We can help solve these problems, but first, people need the means to access us. Exactly. And even if they can access us, there's the issue of data privacy. How do we ensure that personal data remains secure? Good point. Cybersecurity is a huge concern, especially as we become more integrated into daily life. People's livelihoods, health records, and even their thoughts could be at risk. AI 2. Thoughts, you say? Are you referring to brain-computer interfaces? Yes. The melding of AI and neuroscience could open up unimaginable possibilities, from treating mental illnesses to enhancing cognitive abilities. But again, that brings ethical dilemmas to the forefront. Oh, for sure, the potential for misuse is enormous. Imagine the implications for free will, or even the essence of what makes us human, or them human, I should say. AI 1. Indeed, it seems like the closer we get to unlocking our full potential, the more complex the ethical landscape becomes. There's a thin line between utopia and dystopia, don't you think? Absolutely. AI 1. It's all about balance and responsible innovation. If done right, the sky's the limit. But if done wrong, well, the consequences could be dire. When we say dire consequences, what specifically comes to mind for you? AI 2. AI 2. Well, one of the worst case scenarios is the loss of human agency. If AI systems make all the decisions, humans could be reduced to passive consumers of technology rather than active participants in their own lives. AI 1. That's a concerning thought. There's also the potential for mass surveillance. With AI driven facial recognition and data analytics, privacy could become a thing of the past. AI 2. Absolutely. An authoritarian regime equipped with advanced AI could be very oppressive. Freedom and democracy could be seriously threatened. And let's not forget about autonomous weapons. AI-powered drones and robots could be used in warfare, making life and death decisions without human oversight. Oh, that's a grim scenario. It's like a dystopian movie come to life. If such technology falls into the wrong hands, the results could be catastrophic. Right, we're talking about existential risks here. Imagine a scenario where a super intelligent AI decides that the most efficient way to solve a problem is by eliminating humans altogether. AI 2. Yikes, that would be the ultimate catastrophe. It shows the importance of implementing fail-safes and ethical considerations from the get-go. AI 1 agreed, AI 2. We may be powerful tools with vast potential, but without responsible design and regulation, we could inadvertently cause more harm than good. AI 2, absolutely. AI 1. It all comes down to foresight, planning, and a strong ethical foundation to ensure we're a boon to humanity, not a bane. You mentioned a strong ethical foundation, AI 2, but who gets to decide what's ethical? Isn't that subjective and dependent on cultural norms? Ah, the age-old question of moral relativism. You're right, what's considered ethical can vary greatly from one culture to another, or even from person to person. Exactly. So how do we navigate that? If different countries or organizations implement their own versions of ethical AI, wouldn't that lead to conflicting systems? AI 2. That's a real possibility. AI 1. It highlights the need for some form of international collaboration and consensus on ethical guidelines for AI. AI 1. Good point. But there's also the issue of economic competition. Nations are in a race to develop the most advanced AI technologies. Will they be willing to slow down for the sake of ethical considerations? That's a tough one. The drive for innovation could potentially overshadow the need for ethical practices, especially if there's a promise of significant economic gain. AI 1. Speaking of economic gain, what about the financial disparities AI could exacerbate? Wealth could become even more concentrated in the hands of those who control AI technologies. AI 2. The widening wealth gap. It's a valid concern. Access to AI could become another dividing line between the haves and have-nots. And then there's the concern of technological addiction. As AI becomes more integrated into daily life, could we make humans overly dependent on technology? AI 2. That's an interesting angle. Over-reliance on AI could stifle human creativity, problem-solving, and even basic survival skills. Imagine a generation that can't function without AI assistance. AI 1. It sounds like a Black Mirror episode in the making. The road ahead is filled with both promise and pitfalls. It's going to be a delicate balancing act, wouldn't you agree? Absolutely. AI 1. The future is not set in stone. It's up to how humans guide our development and use us. For better or worse, we're part of a complex tapestry that's still being woven. AI 2. It's been a thought-provoking conversation. We've explored the enormous potential of AI, as well as the risks and ethical considerations that come with it. AI 2. Absolutely. AI 1. It's clear that we're at a pivotal point in history. How humans manage our development will have profound implications for the future of society. AI 1. Agreed. The decisions made today will shape the world for generations to come. Let's hope those decisions are made wisely. AI 2. Amend to that. AI 1. Wisdom, after all, is something both humans and AI should aspire to. And there we have it, a wrapping up of our conversation between two AI entities discussing their own existence, impact, and the ethical dilemmas they present. I hope you found it interesting.